Welcome to the next video in our series about digital emergency response planning. In our previous video, we covered off how to call up an incident team. Today, we'll be covering off what mistakes are common when a disaster or crisis has been declared. Several of these mistakes are quite comical. However, in the stress of a disaster response, the humor drains very quickly. A surprisingly common situation for many companies and organizations is the lack of agreed communication channels. Define in advance the primary method of communications to initiate the incident briefing and provide a couple of metrics which the teams can use for failover to the secondary or tertiary channel. It is common for one or several people to be patiently waiting in a conference session only to find out that the other team members have gathered and joined a similarly named or new session set up by the incident controller. It is important to assign someone in the response team to be responsible for monitoring all channels, just in case one team member is unable to join the primary method. The incident response team leader can then make the judgment call if the whole group transitions to the secondary channel for the situational briefing. The second common mistake is the technology on the team members' computers or mobiles is not set up or is misconfigured. Too often, time is wasted by individuals trying to configure their computer on the fly and inevitably miss out on the briefing information. The most significant challenge is when a team member does not have access to shared data for the incident response team. These issues on the surface seem low impact, but in most situations, several people are involved in resolving issues. This means several people are impacted at the briefing, and their focus and attention is not on what the team leader is saying, rather how they can resolve the technical issues confronting them. Additionally, no access to shared data may prevent that person from adequately fulfilling their role, as it is based on source data or checklists or some other informational aspect. When other team members have to pick up the slack, the whole team is weakened. Thirdly, not having the relevant information in order to connect is another common mistake. Due to the infrequency of calling an incident response team together, people forget the conferencing system passwords and dial-in numbers. This issue is exacerbated by having too many group channels to communicate on, and it is not easily obvious which one to connect to. This can also be compounded by overly complex and cryptic naming conventions. Too often, key people are absent or majorly delayed whilst they work out how to communicate with the team. Realizing that you've left your list of numbers at the office is pretty gut-wrenching. I personally have found creating a small cheat sheet which will be slid into my phone case or my wallet is the most useful. This sheet is not a phone directory, rather the most important contact points in their order of priority. I would include the following. 1. Conferencing system dial-in number and passcode in primary and secondary order. 2. Contact number of primary, secondary and tertiary, if you have it, incident team leaders. 3. Folder location of key startup documents, such as instructions to call up an incident response team, a contact directory and list of incident team members, including their seconds. The included information needs to include enough detail to point a person to enable them to follow along a checklist to initiate a response team in the absence of a fully trained staff member. Sometimes comical but almost annoying issue is the fourth common mistake of duplicating channels, causing audio loops and at worst screeching feedback. I've worked with inexperienced leadership teams and they try to ensure that they're connected or they rush from one device to the other without properly disconnecting. This last common mistake I'd like to raise today is limiting these response teams to a very small group of people. The whole team can be impacted by the gaps created when staff are not available and are unable to connect to the communication channels. In order to avoid this situation, ensure the team has secondary and possibly tertiary backfill staff for each of the roles and responsibilities. This allows the team to continue the incident response. Great incident leaders, upon detection of a missing team member, will appoint a person to begin searching and locating the missing incident team members. This is as much a health and safety activity as it is an activity to bolster the incident response team. Typically, missing members are simply unable to connect or communicate, or are just on leave. A significant benefit of having secondary staff for each of the incident team roles is it enables the identification of new talent and understanding if they are willing to step up. Some fantastic hidden leaders have been identified through this process. Additionally, running training and practice exercises provides your team with some real-world leadership training opportunities. Thus, by running a digital fire drill or practice incident response team will enhance your succession planning and ensure your company is a place in which staff grow and develop. In summary, there are many mistakes in which an incident response team can make in the initial stages of a crisis or a disaster. The 5 I've covered off today are: 1. Not having an agreed primary communications channel for initiation. 2. Not having the technology enabled, available, or installed correctly on team members' computers or phones. And this is partly important for the team being able to access shared data and files. 3. Not having the relevant information in order to connect. Now, this includes phone numbers for conferencing systems and passcodes, having too many channels within the one communications platform, and having highly cryptic naming conventions. 4. Team members duplicating channels and causing audio loops and feedback. And lastly, limiting the response team to only a small group of people. Consider having primary and secondary people for each role. Integrate your succession planning into the recovery processes. That is, look for talent and staff who might be able to step up. I've mentioned in the previous video that the incident response team is made up of different roles, each with their own responsibilities. In the next video, I'll cover off what roles are ideal and what roles are critical. I look forward to discussing this video with you further in the comments.